Well, happy birthday, America, but also happy whatever day you want to call it for Auburn football. They got another commitment shortly after they just got their third a few days ago for the 2023 class. Let's talk about who that is and what it means for Auburn football. But before we do that, I want to welcome you back to the channel. Whether you're a member of the Auburn family or a fan of another persuasion, this is the E2C Network, where we cover the whole of the Auburn experience. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the content. Thank you to members of our Booster Club like John Stokes, who help produce videos like this. Can you feel it? It's not just the heat of summer, and let's be real, that's pretty intense right now, but the intensity and the excitement seem to be picking up even more for Auburn football recruiting specifically. And I'm not just talking about rumors and speculation, but concrete commitments that we can actually dive into and talk about and truly get excited about, because at least for the commitment part of the process, we know that they're coming to Auburn. Obviously, we have to wait till signing day to really be secure in that. But hey, for now, let's celebrate and talk about another one. That brand new recruit that is committed to Auburn is one that's been thought about for quite some time, and one that's been hoped for Auburn fans that they would actually decide to commit. That was wide receiver Karmello English, and he decided to commit on all days, July 4th, Independence Day, which is why we're celebrating not only that, but yet another Auburn commit to the 2023 class. Karmello is a little bit of an interesting story in terms of his recruitment process. In fact, his recruitment by Auburn goes well back into the fall of 2022, and I'm sure he's seen the legacy, or I don't want to call it a legacy, but we'll call it the journey in a nice way of saying it, that the Auburn wide receiver position has been through, back to Cornelius Williams, who was fired, now Eric Keesaw, offensive coordinator, who took over that role at that time and now is the promoted offensive coordinator. And now with the advent of Ike Hilliard coming over to Auburn, and a lot of excitement around him, not just as a recruiter, but as a coach and what he brings to the table holistically as Auburn. And honestly, that's what Karmello English, when he was asked about what really stuck out to Auburn, it's that relationship that he had with Ike Hilliard. So if you want to thank anybody, obviously thank Ike. So as the number 4 recruit in the 2023 class, that means the Tigers had to beat some people out, and they beat out names like Alabama, Kentucky, and even Michigan. So high profile programs that Auburn had to beat out for this guy. I think most people, if you kind of ask around, expected maybe Kentucky was the biggest player in that equation, but nevertheless, he is an Auburn Tiger, at least in his commitment process. Let's talk about the player that we just got, a little bit more information for you to know about him. So measurable wise, 6 foot, almost 5'11", somewhere in that range, depends on who you look at, about 175 pounds. So your typical height, your typical build, not a very tall wide receiver, but you know, the average measurables that you typically see at this position. See, a lot of people talk about maybe some versatility that he has, but also there's a lot of people that think he's going to be playing in a boundary position or more of an outside wide receiver. And I don't see anything to indicate that he wouldn't be likely heading that direction in terms of where he might fill a role here at Auburn. I can give you some stats, obviously from his junior season, since he's yet to play his senior season, so we'll be eagerly watching that. 70 receptions for him, over 1,000 receiving yards, and about 18 touchdowns is what he amassed during that junior campaign. So very impressive stats there as well to keep in mind when you got a guy coming in like this and what he was able to contribute even at high school. I know a lot of you get super excited about ranking stars, things like that. For those of you that enjoy that type of stuff, he is, I believe, a consensus 4-star. And in fact, I think most people consider him the highest ranked recruit that Auburn thus far, as the date of July 4th, having in their 2023 class. Now, this is the part of the video where I like to talk about what it means for Auburn football. And we can take that obviously from now until infinity and beyond if you want to talk about that. But we're really going to just try to tackle a couple of topics here, what it means for the present, but also a little bit of what happens if and when he actually does sign and get on campus. First of all, Auburn fans, I know a lot of you have been stressing and fretting about the summer, not having a lot of solid commitments. Well, now there is 2 in a row for you. So 2 reasons now to kind of take a deep breath, enjoy the process, not worry about if things don't go necessarily how recruits say that they're going to commit on this day or that day. Because I forgot to mention this, he was supposed to commit back on July 2nd and decided for personal reasons that he wanted to hold off. But shortly thereafter, obviously 2 days later, on July 4th, decided to commit to Auburn. I also think that this means there is proof that other commits sometimes spur others on to at least, if not commit, get closer to making that decision. I don't know what went through his head, what those personal reasons were for the delay of that July 2nd commitment date. What I do know is this: it's probably really exciting to watch a guy out of Montgomery, Alabama, running back Jeremiah Cobb commit, and kind of want to be a part of that type of thing. And so that could have potentially have propelled that forward. So I think that kind of proves that there is at least something to that effect. One thing that a lot of people are wondering is, will it spur a guy like Brock Glenn on, a quarterback that Auburn has been expecting to commit to them? At least that's what most fans were thinking for quite some time now. Maybe, just maybe, seeing a wide receiver, having an offensive line already getting started in this class, and now a running back too. Maybe that is what spurs him on to finally go ahead and pull the trigger and commit to the Tigers. Let's talk about recruiting facts and breakdown. Obviously, we talked about this a lot. He's the 4th overall commit in the 2023 class. Still, Auburn has a long way to go in terms of number of commitments compared to other programs, not just in the SEC, but in the entire nation. But I would submit to you that it is not just the numbers. It's about getting quality and finding the right guys. Don't play the game of trying to keep up with the Joneses simply because Vanderbilt has more recruits than us. So the 4th overall commit for the 23 class, like we've been talking about, but also the 3rd overall offensive commit and the 1st wide receiver, obviously. What this shows you, in my eyes, is that the fans need to take hold of the fact that the coaches are aware that a big part of the focus for this particular class needs to be on offense. Obviously, the positions like wide receiver, which they just addressed, with offensive line too, but also continuing that pipeline going in other areas like quarterbacks and things like that. The focus is there. And just because these guys are committing now at this point doesn't mean that we're like lacking on defensive things or anything like that. You never can tell. Some guys may be more prone to commit early just because they kind of had already settled that's where they want to go and just need a little bit of reassurance. Maybe that's what happened with Karmello English. Just wanted that little bit of extra reassurance to see that other people were going to commit to Auburn. And finally, let's talk about the future of what it could mean for Auburn football, and that is regarding playing time. I think it's fair to say that you should start from the assumption that anybody that comes in outside of these just once-in-a-lifetime recruits that people get from time to time, even Auburn, that this is a guy that we should assume will see the traditional amount of playing time that you can have before eating up a year of eligibility and maintaining that red shirt for a year. So that's what I'm going to operate off of. However, I think you have to also look at the context of what's going on at the position. For me, wide receiver, I can only operate off of what's going on right now at Auburn. They have a whole season to prove that things are completely turned around there and that the talent that's been amassed at Auburn is finally what's going to coalesce together into a much better unit. But until they do that, I'm just going to operate off the assumption that this thing is still wide open for anybody who wants to seize the opportunity. And I think that holds true for Karmello English as well. So right now, I would say early playing time for him, maybe even not use a red shirt, is highly likely. But if the other guys that are here show that they can hold this position down and get the job done, maybe it'll afford us and Karmello the opportunity, some time, extra time in terms of a red shirt year, to hold on to him, help him grow, and help him get stronger, faster, bigger, all that stuff, and be a huge part of that after the fact that these guys kind of rotating out of the lineup. So that's my overall thoughts for Karmello English, your wide receiver commit, and the 4th overall in the 2023 class. Love to hear your thoughts down in the comments section below. But before you go, I want to remind you of a few things. If you enjoy this type of content, please do smash that like button. And if you want more from us, be sure to hit the subscribe along with the notification bell so you don't miss any content, live streams, or edited videos, all of it. If you want ways to help support our content, check out the links in the description. You can join the Booster Club over at patreon.com/E2C Network, or just hit the join button here at YouTube for $1 a month and become a channel member. Thank you for tuning into the E2C Network, where we share the whole of the Auburn experience. War Eagle.